What's going on, everybody? It's Mr. Downs here. We're going on to lesson 30 today. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to be adding a mixed number with a fraction. We're also going to be able to regroup or keep it the same. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with that. The first thing I want to do is I want us to talk about, we're going to compare improper fractions. Remember, an improper fraction is when the numerator is greater than the denominator. All right, so that means we have more pieces than a whole. When we're comparing improper fractions, it's important the best thing to do is make it into a mixed number. I'm going to show the first one for you on the board really quick. Then after that, I'm going to give you guys some practice. So for example, if I have 19 fifths, okay, move this, make this a little smaller, size some space. So I'm trying to do is figure out how many wholes I have. We know that the denominator, the 5, tells us how many pieces make a whole, and so it takes 5 fifths to make a whole. So I'm trying to figure out how many times can I take 5 away from 19, okay? Or in other words, what's 19 divided by 5? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show every 5 fifths, right? So 5 fifths. You should be writing this down as I'm writing it. So 5 fifths, that equals 1 whole. If I add another 5 plus 5, that would be 10 fifths. I can do that. So I can add another 5 away from that. I could do another 5 fifths. That makes 15 fifths. And if I do another 5 fifths, I cannot do that because that will be 20 fifths. So 5 fifths plus 5 fifths plus 5 fifths plus 4 fifths is equal to 19 fifths. All right. So how many wholes based on this addition sentence do I have? 5 fifths. Remember, when we have a whole, so the numerator and the denominator are the same numbers. So our top number and our bottom number is the same. I've done that 3 times. So that's 3 wholes. And then I have just 4 fifths. So it's 3 and 4 fifths. Then we do the same thing over here. We have 12 thirds. So that means it takes 3 pieces to make a whole. So I'm trying to figure out how many 3/3 I can make. So this is 3/3. That's 1 whole. I could take another 3/3. That makes 2. That makes 6/3 altogether, which is 2 wholes. I can add another 3/3. That makes 9. And I can make a fourth one, which makes 12 thirds. And 12 thirds is equal to 1 whole, 2 wholes, 3 wholes, 4 wholes. When we are comparing a mixed number, first thing we do is always compare the wholes. So 4 is greater than 3, so that means 12 thirds is greater than 19 fifths. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you about 3 minutes. I want you to solve each of the rest of these on your own, okay? Make sure you break it down into the wholes and see which is greater, all right? I'm going to give you about 4 minutes. Mr. Edwin is going to come around. He's going to give candy to those friends who are doing what they're supposed to do. When you are done, you put a thumb up in the air to let me know that you are finished. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, and go. Give you extra 10 seconds. Thank you to those friends who are silently working, silently doing what they're supposed to do. Remember, you're trying to make them into wholes. All right, how many wholes can you make? So we're trying to convert them from a improper fraction to a mixed number. If you do finish, please put a thumb up. I'm going to erase this right now. So if you haven't copied it down, please, so I can get more space when I'm going to go over it. So I'm going to erase this. All right. Malaya, I got you your new basket as well. I put it on your desk if you haven't seen it already. So if you could throw the old one in the trash if you happen to, not right now, but before you go to lunch. I mean, not to lunch, special. I put it in there for you. Thank you, those friends who are quietly waiting and silently waiting if you finished early. And Mr. Edwin, if they need more time, you can go ahead and pause the video and just give them 1 extra minute after the time is up, and then we'll just move on from there. But not too much time, Mr. Edwin. They don't need all day. Ain't that right? Okay. Remember to put your thumb up for Mr. Edwin to see who was here. Make sure y'all have everything y'all need. Got about 70 seconds. Or 1 minute and 10 seconds. Oh, and I did buy oh, I forgot my pencils. I'm gonna have to swing them by to Miss Cheadle. Yeah, Miss Cheadle will bring in the pencils tomorrow for y'all, so y'all can have those as well. So you should have a box of pencils on the desk or somebody's desk. All right, and time is up. Miss Edwin, if you need more time, if they need more time, another minute or so, you can stop it and give them 60 seconds. Move on from there. But I'm gonna go ahead and go over each of these on my own. So what we're gonna do first, we're gonna do 25 fourths. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna count how many times I have to count by 4 to get to 24, because every 4 fourths make a whole. So how many times I count by 4 is how many holes I can make. So how many times can 4 go into 25? If I count 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. So I have 6 holes. Well, in other words, I could do 25 divided by 4. And you could have done this many different ways. I'm going to show different ways, of course. So I could do 25 divided by 4. 4 goes into 25 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. I subtract that, and I have 1 left over. So the mixed number for 25 fourths will be 6 holes and 1 fourth. Looking at the other side, I'm trying to figure out how many times 20 can go into 5. So I might do it the other way, where I can just count by 5s in this case. So I know 5 fifths plus 5 fifths plus 5/5 plus 5/5 is equal to 20/5. So if I have I have 4 5/5, then it's equal to 4 wholes. Remember, when we compare mixed numbers, we're looking at the whole number first. So I have 6 wholes here, and I have 4 wholes here. As long as I've been aware 6 is greater than 4, so I go ahead and say this one, 25/4 is greater than 20/5. Moving on to the next one. So now I'm going to compare 25/4 to 26/5. I already know what 25/4 are because I already have it here. So my answer is going to be 6 1/4. But what I don't know is how many fifths I can take away. So I can do the same thing. I'm going to do it differently this time. I'm going to do division. So I'm going to use division and figure out how many fifths, because how many 5s go into 26. So that tells me how many holes I have, because every 5/5 make a hole. So I'm going to do 26 divided by 5. So 5 goes into 25 5 times. I'm sorry, I didn't write it on line. Then 5 times 5 is 25. I subtract, and that equals 1. So that is equal to 5 holes. I have 1 piece left over, so that's 5 1/5. So I'm looking at my mixed numbers. 6 is greater than 5, so my answer would be 6 1/4 is greater than 26, or 5 1/5, or 26/5 is less than 25/4. Next one, 26/3 and 32/4. I'm going to just divide both of these really quick. So I'm going to do, how many times can 3 go into 26? Or how many times can I take 3 away from 26? So if I count by this, I'm going to put 26 in the box. That's the amount of pieces I have. And I know every 3 pieces make a hole. I know it's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. So that makes 8 holes, which is 24 pieces. I subtract that, and I have 2 left over. So that means I have 8 holes and 2/3. Same thing on this side. I have 32/4. I'm trying to figure out how many times I can take, how many times I can take 4 away from 32. So I'm going to do 32 is in the box. 4 is the amount of groups that it takes to make a hole. It takes 4 pieces to make a hole. So how many groups of 4, or how many holes can I take out of 32? So I'm going to count by 4 so I get to 32. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. So I have 8. 8 times 4 is 32, so I put 32 underneath. And 32 minus 32 equals 0. So that means I have 8 holes. The same thing here. I have 8 2/3, and I have 8 holes. So 2/3 more than 8. So that means 26/3 is greater than 32/4. All right. I'm not going to do the last one. I feel like you guys should have did it on your own. Mr. Edwin checked it around to make sure you have it, and that's good. All right. Cool. With that being said, we are going to go ahead and move on to our next part. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get back into it. The second part we want to talk about is the application problem. I'm going to read the problem. I'm going to give you 3 minutes and 10 seconds to solve it on your own, okay? So before we start, I want to read the problem to you. It says, on one board, measures 2 meters and 70 centimeters. Another measures 87 centimeters. What is the total length of the 2 boards expressed in meters and centimeters? All right. Cool. One thing I want to talk about before you get into it is that you got to understand the conversion of centimeters, all right? The conversion of centimeters is 1 meter you remember, is equal to 100 centimeters. Do with that information with what you will to help you solve, all right? Remember the end goal, remember the question, remember do all that. I want you guys to be working silently. I don't want anybody to talk. I just want people just to think about it, all right? And then we'll go over the problem after those 3 minutes, okay? Mr. Edwards going to go come around and look at your work, and I'm going to get it started in 3, 2, 1. You may begin. Hold on, you may begin. Why? Oh, because I don't have this. I got to go here. Sorry, y'all. Ben, now, you may be. Nope, sorry, still can't. Here, now, y'all. Now, I promise, you may begin. Like how friends are silently working. They're not talking to their friends. And even when they're done, they're not being disruptive to other people's thinking. Thanks to all those friends that were silently working, doing what they needed to do. I appreciate it. Thanks to those friends who were silently doing what they need to do, being very patient. Appreciate those friends who are thinking, putting their ideas down. Sorry if you hear Miss Godwin in the back. She's a little loud. You know how she is. That's my homie, though. All right, we got about 3 seconds. 2, 1, and stop. All right, everybody look at the board with me. We're going to go over this next part together. If I could delete this. No. And we're going to get started. All right. So let me go ahead and get my marker out so we can go ahead and do this thing. All right. So it says on one board measures 2 meters and 70 centimeters. Another measures 87 centimeters. What is the total length of the 2 boards expressed in meters and centimeters? So what we're trying to figure out is that we have these 2 boards, right? We have one on this side, one on that side. We put them together. We're trying to figure out how much it measures all together. So all together means we need to add these together. Now, there's 2 different ways we can solve this, right? We can solve it doing it in just centimeters, or we can also do it adding centimeters and meters, all right? And it all depends on the conversion. So I'm going to do a centimeters way over here, And then I'm going to do meters and centimeters over here. So meters and centimeters. So what I first did is that I have to, in order to do it the centimeters way, I have to convert both of the board's measurements into centimeters. So for example, I have 2 meters and 70 meters. I know 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So that means 2 meters would be 200 centimeters. So altogether, it would be 270 centimeters. And then I'm going to add, since this is already in centimeters, 87 centimeters to it. So I'm going to add 87 to that. And then I'll add it together. So they're both in centimeters right now. So I'm going to put my plus sign. Like I got some cents. I'm going to put my addition sign underneath. And we're going to add it all together. So we know it's going to be in centimeters because it's centimeters. 7 plus 0 or 0 plus 7 is 7. I have 7 tens. I had to add 8 more. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. If I have 15 tens, I have to put the 5 down. And I carry the 1 above. Because 10 tens make 100. Then I'm going to add the 200s plus 1 more 100. I'll put it below. 2 plus 1 makes 3, which makes 357 centimeters. However, what I have to do is they're not asking how much is it in centimeters. They're asking in meters and centimeters. All right. So when I'm looking at this, I have to realize what is going to be in meters and centimeters. So I know that every 100 centimeters, every 100 centimeters is 1 meter. So if 1 meter is 100 centimeters, that means 2 meters is 200 centimeters. That means 3 meters is equal to 300 centimeters, and I have 57 centimeters left over. So it should be that answer. All right, I can do the same thing with just meters and centimeters and just keep it the same way. So what I would do is I would have 2 meters plus 87. Oh, excuse me. Let me erase it. My apologies, y'all. I want to go to eraser. So let me erase this. Boop. Go back to my marker. Boop. All right, cool. And I have 80 and 70 centimeters. I'm going to add 87 centimeters to that. And I add that all together. So here I have centimeters. 0 plus 7 is 7. 8 plus 7 makes 15, but that's 15 tens. So when I have 15 tens, that means I have to take 10 tens, which makes 100. Or in other words, 100 centimeters will make another meter. So I put 1 meter up here, so that makes 1 meter. That's where I got the 1 meter from adding that. So I have 5 left over of the 15. And then I'm adding my meters, which is 2 meters plus 1 meter, which makes 3 meters. Either way you solve, you could get the same answer, whether you're adding with meters and centimeters and meters. All right? Cool. Another way you could probably check your work is by going ahead and doing just working backwards. So subtracting the total from one of the boards, and you should get the other board. All right? Let's go ahead and move on to the next page. Turn the page, thumbs up when you remember. Our goal for today is we're going to be able to add a mixed number with a fraction. Adding a mixed number with a fraction. So I want you to look at this problem right here. I want you to add on your own 2 3/8 plus 3/8. All right, and then be able to explain why. Write a written explanation of why you think the answer is the answer. I'm gonna give you about 3 minutes to solve. May take less time, it may take more. Just be patient for those whole 3 minutes. Okay, guys? Thank you. Ready, set, and go. Start. Thank you to those friends who are silently working. Thank you to those friends who are silently doing what they're supposed to do. Being kind, being respectful, doing all the things that they're supposed to do. I appreciate it wholeheartedly. Thank you everybody for listening and following directions and being the best you can be. Something might be finished early, does not give you room to go ahead and start talking. Please be patient for those friends still working on the problem. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody. I appreciate it. We're almost there. Got about 25 seconds to go. Thank you to those friends who are patiently waiting, being kind and respectful, not talking. Greatly appreciated. All right, let's bring it back in 3, 10 seconds to go. Bring it back in 3, 2, 1, and 0. So what I like to do is I like to make it like we're adding actual numbers, like we're different units, just like we did with the last problem, where we were adding meters with centimeters. Notice that we took the smallest unit and added it first. So we added the centimeters and then we added the meters afterwards, okay? It's the same concept here with adding mixed numbers and fractions. When we start, I like to make a T-chart. So if you didn't do a T-chart, I'm going to show you the T-chart right here. So over here we have fractions. And over here we have whole numbers, all right? So what I like to do is I like to add the fractions with the fractions. Remember, in our mixed numbers, there's two parts. There's the whole, and then there's the fraction. So we're going to add both. We're going to put the fraction with the fraction. So I have 3/8. So I put 3/8 right here. And over here, I have 3/8. Then over here, I have the wholes. So it's 2 wholes over here. I don't have any other wholes over here because that's it. So I'm going to add 3/8 plus 3/8, and that makes 6/8. Because 3 plus 3 equals 6. And that 6 in our denominator stays the same because we have the same eighth pieces. So it's 6/8. Since I do not have any wholes, that means my wholes stay the same as a 2. So my final answer would be 2 wholes and 6/8. Remember, when you're adding, whether you're adding tens, hundreds, thousands, millions, you always start with the smaller unit, or mixed numbers. You always start with the smallest unit, which is fractions in this case, and then we will do the whole numbers. So my answer would be 2 wholes and 6/8. All right, let's move on to the next part. All right, guys. Another part of adding mixed numbers with fractions is being able to identify when we've created a whole, right? So when we're adding fractions, we need to be able to identify or regroup or rebundle when we have a fraction that is a whole or greater than one whole and keeping that together. So what we're going to do is we're going to practice that now. I'm going to do the first problem, and you guys are going to do the rest of them on your own, okay? So look, at 1/4, I have 1/4, like it's shaded here. What I'm going to do is I'm trying to figure out how many fourths will it take to make a whole. We know that 1 whole in fourths is equal to 4 over 4, or 4 fourths. 4/4 is equal to 1 whole. So in essence, what I'm trying to figure out is how many fourths will it take to make 4/4, which is equivalent to 1 whole. So if I keep shade over here the fourths, I have 1/4 shaded. I'm going to shade in 2/4. I'm going to shade in 3/4. And then I'm going to shade in 4/4. Altogether, I shaded in black 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So my answer here is 3/4. Everybody see that? And 3/4 is equal to 1 whole. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give y'all about 3 minutes. Maybe, nah, I'm not even going to give that much. I'm going to give about 2 minutes tops to you guys figure out 3/8 plus what gives me 1 whole, 1/8 plus what gives me 1 whole, and 3 1/8 plus what gives me 4. All right? I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to solve, then we'll go over it together. Give you about 60 more seconds, then we're going to move on. All right, guys, let's go ahead and go over it. So we know that 1 whole in 8ths. So my denominator is going to be 8. How many 8ths does it take to make a whole? It takes 8/8 to make a whole, and 8/8 are equivalent to 1 whole. So how many more 8ths do I need from 3/8 to get to 8/8? So I add 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8. So it should take 5/8 to make a whole. Looking at 1/8, I already have a picture over here to show that I have 1/8. So I'm going to shade it in black till I get a whole. So this is 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. So my answer should be 7/8 because 8/8 make 1 whole, and 7/8 plus 1/8 equals 8/8. And the last one, I had 1/8. I need how many more 8ths from 3 1/8 to get to 7/8? So I already have 3 wholes. So I'm looking at the fraction. To get to 4, it would be the same 7/8 to get to 4 wholes. All right. Cool beans, no mustard. Let's go ahead into the next page. Go ahead and turn with me. All right, guys. So I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to try to solve this problem on your own. You're going to do 5 2/4 plus 3/4 on your own. Okay? I'm going to give y'all 2 minutes to start, and then we'll go over it afterwards. Thank you to those friends who started opening up their pencils, picking up their pencils and starting to work. I appreciate you guys for doing your best work. I know there's some students that's really doing a job. I know King's doing a great job. I know Jamar's doing what he needs to do. I appreciate Zaylen. Stop talking, but I know he's not talking right now. I appreciate Noble for staying awake in class, unless he's asleep, of course. Tiana for doing it, practicing her best. Thank you, Sophia, doing what she needed to do. Thank you, Patty. Thank you, everybody. Got about less than 90 seconds, 90 seconds to go. So thank you guys for continuing to work, do what you need to do, and so on. Good job, Malaya. Good job, Peyton. Good job, Betty. Thank you, Gary Lease. "15 seconds to go." Making sure those friends who finished early got checked off by Mr. Edwin. Don't go ahead because I gotta tell you the problems for the problem set. I know some of you trying to go there, wherever the exit ticket may be, but you gotta hold on for a second. All right, let's go over this together really quick. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a T-chart first. Before I do that, I gotta go here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a T-chart. I'm gonna have a whole. I'm gonna have my fractions. All right. I have like-minded units, so I have fractions with fractions. I have whole numbers like whole numbers. So I know I have 2/4. I put my left added number to the left side. And I add it with the right added, which is 3/4. Then I put 5 wholes, which is my left adding over here of my mixed number. And I'm going to put that together. When we're adding, we always start with the fractions first. So I'm going to add 2/4 plus 3/4, which equals 5/4. Now, this can be a little confusing because we have an improper fraction in our units. We have 5 pieces and only 4 pieces to make a whole. Can we keep 5/4 as the answer? No, because it's more than a whole. 5/4 is more than a whole because we know 4/4 when the numerator and denominator are the same, that makes a whole. So when we have 5/4, that's more than a whole. So what we have to do is break it down into a whole and a part. So I'm going to break 2 stems down here. I'm going to show this as 4/4. Let me extend the page. 4/4, which makes 1 whole, and then I have 1/4 right here. This 4/4 I'm going to circle. It is no longer a fraction. It's considered a whole. So I have to bring it over to the whole. So this whole now is I have now not 5, but 5 plus 1. Because it now makes 1 whole. Alright? So this 1 whole, I can now scratch out. And I have 1/4 here. So what's left over is 1/4. And I have 5 plus 1, that makes 6. So my answer to the question, it would be 6 wholes and 1/4. To recap, what I did was that I first broke down my mixed number and my fraction to add like-minded terms. So I add my fractions, which was 2/4 plus 3/4, and I have 5 on its own. I started with my smaller unit, which is the fractions. So I added 2/4 plus 3/4 to make 5/4. And I could not keep it as 5/4 because 4/4 is equal to 1 whole. So I have to make it greater than 1 whole. So what I did was I took the 4/4, I broke it down and took it out and added to the whole place. And I kept what's left over, which was 1/4 right here. So then I had to add 5 plus the new one I made from the 5/4. That I took 4/4 from the 5/4 to make 6. So my answer turned to 6 wholes and 1/4. Another way of doing it is if you count it by 4. So I started at 5 2/4, 5 3/4, 5 4/4, or 6, and then 6 1/4. So either way, that works to get those answers for us. All right, Mary, as we're going on to this, can you help us find the page as we're moving on to the next spot? All right, guys, we're on to the problem set now. What we're going to do is I'm going to let you do the following problems. If you don't have your book, it is on the back of your packet as well. It's on the next page, so you guys can have it. If you want to look in your workbook, you may. Make sure you have the page number, Mary, again. Hopefully you wrote it down from her, from what she said. I better not have heard 10, 15 different people talking at once trying to do her job. You're not that important right now. All right? Do your job. All right, with that being said, I'm going to give y'all 10 minutes. You're going to do 1, A, B, C, and D, 2, A, B, C, and D, and then 4, A, B, C, and D. All right? If you happen to finish early and Mr. Edwin checks off that you did them correctly, then you can go on to do the exit ticket. And then after you do the exit ticket, you can either go on Zern, Freckle, or Dreambox. All right? Any questions, any comments, concerns? Cool. I'm going to go ahead and start the 10 minutes. Please be silent during this time as you guys are working. If you need help, help yourself. I will go over afterwards, but I'm not going to go over all of them. But some of them you have to be responsible for on your own. This is a class grade, one for your third trimester, excuse me. And it's hopefully you guys are ready to go. All right, let's go ahead and just get started in 3, 2, 1, begin. I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick myself. better not be acting up. I was out. We got about a minute and a half left, all right? Thank you guys for working, doing your best, doing everything you can. Thank you guys for your hard work. Listen, I'm not going over every problem on the board. No, sirree. No, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. If you happen to finish, I forgot to tell you, there's a black bit in the back on my back table that you guys can go ahead and turn it into. Okay? All right? Because I'm taking both your X tickets and your problem sets in there. And I'm not going over every problem. So that is what it is and it ain't what it ain't. Yeah. Oh, also after this, you guys are going to have lunch. Not lunch. You guys are going to have to take a test tomorrow. It's 3 parts. Mr. Edwin will be going over more of that with y'all. Please be silent. Do not talk during the test. And then that'll be it, you know. I'll call it a day. All right, I'm gonna go over one from each problem. So I'm gonna go over 1A from number 1, 2A from number 2, and then 4A as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get to this final part. I'm gonna show A on the board, so I have to do 3 1/4 plus 1/4. So I'm gonna make my handy marker here. I know I have to do this. Cross out right here. Fractions, whole numbers. It's cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it. 1/4 plus 1/4 over here. And then I put the 3 over here. 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 2/4. And then I have 3 here. So my answer would be 3 wholes on 2/4. All right, looking at 2A, same thing. What I have to do is I have to figure out how much more do I get from 4 7/8 to get to 5. I need 1/8 more because 1/8 will make another whole, and 4 plus 1 makes 5, so it would be 1/8 to make 5. And then last but not least, if I'm doing this one as well, I'm doing 4 2/3 plus 4 2/3 plus 2/3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it here. Fractions, whole numbers, 2/3 plus 2/3. Ooh. 2/3 plus 2/3 equals 4/3. And I have 4 here. Those 4 wholes. Oh, I don't want that. Let me go back here. Bam. I got these 4/3. I need to break it down to wholes. So I'm going to make it. I know that 3/3 make a whole. Sorry about that. Plus 1/3. So 3/3 makes a whole. So you know what I have to do with a whole? I have to bring it over here to my whole spot. So I'm adding 1 more. And that makes 5. So my answer would be 5 wholes and 1/3. If I'm moving too fast, you can always pause the video anytime, rewind, do what you need to do. All right. Last but not least, we're going to go on to 4. Actually, where is it? Oh, I did 4. I did 2. Oh, and I did 1. Look at me. I'm so special. Make sure you guys do the rest of them on your own. So you should have done B, C, and D. You should have also done 2B, 2C, 2D. And you should have also done B, C, and D for 4B, C, and D. All right, with that being said, go ahead and start doing the X ticket. After that, you go on Zern for the rest of that time being. Make sure you're silently on those things. Mr. Edwin will take a list of the friends who are doing what they're supposed to do, because they will have a pizza party tomorrow. All right. When you guys come back, my group for small group, we don't have group today, so you guys will be on Boost for that time. We're in a small group. And Mr. Edwin's friends will stay in my class, so that's Yesiah and King. You guys will stay here with him instead of going to the other room. All right. I already talked to Chloe. I already talked to Skylar, and I told Miss Bailey the same thing, so they know not to come to our room today. And then after that, you guys are gonna be taking the test to finish up the day. All right. He's gonna take the first part. Mr. Edwin will go over it in detail with you guys. But other than that, I'm sorry I could not be here today, but I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Please be good. Make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do so we can have a pizza party tomorrow. All right? If not, some of you probably already lost it and didn't even know it. But hey, it is what it is. Till it ain't what it ain't. All right. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. See ya mañana, which means tomorrow.